When the Boston City Council was sworn in this week, it was a history-making event. With 8 women on the 13-member board, the council is now majority female, obviously. But in Massachusetts politics, it's also an outlier. Despite a surge of women seeking office in the state, men largely remain in charge. Why? Stephanie Leydon went looking for answers.
Much of the outrage many women felt over President Trump's election was palpable and public. But there were also less obvious post-election responses.
So it's right after the election?
Yes.
Dawn Shan gathered with a group of women at this Newburyport coffee shop.
We felt like we had to be involved in how elections ran, and who represented us.
And 3 years later, how do you feel you've done?
I feel like we are making progress. It is more incremental than I had hoped.
Here on the North Shore, a handful of mayors are women, including in Newburyport. And in November, a third woman won a seat on Newburyport's city council, bringing the total number of women who have ever served on the council up to what Shan says is 14.
That's actually quite a high number. Compared to the surrounding regions, you'll see maybe 3 over 375 years, maybe 8 in a place like Ipswich, 3 in Rowley. We don't have a strong history of women participating in making local decisions about their communities.
Until this week, Everett had only 1 woman on its city council. Now there are 3, including Stephanie Martins, who won a seat in November.
There's a huge sensitivity still to women who want to speak up and be strong leaders. So there's definitely a different way to go about it when you're a woman, unfortunately, because of the system.
What is that way?
Be nice.
Martins, a Brazilian-born immigrant, lost her first race for city council 2 years ago and says she recalibrated her approach this time. In a community that's becoming increasingly diverse, she focused on long-time residents.
The traditional vote of the core Everett people, especially the elderly, they continue to decide and really drive the election still. They voted for new, they voted for women, they voted for diverse representation, and that was a huge surprise.
Modest gains seen in Everett and Newburyport are typical of communities across the Commonwealth. As for that female majority on Boston City Council,
they showed a lot of different people, including women and minorities, how you could do this, how you could win, how you could come from any different background and capture your district and win.
But, says Pam Berman of the Massachusetts Women's Political Caucus, 3 years after Trump's election galvanized women to run, that history-making city council remains more inspirational than a sign that women are gaining widespread political parity. Stephanie Leydon, WGBH News.
Pam Berman from the Massachusetts Women's Political Caucus says one of the biggest obstacles for female candidates is fundraising. Men, she says, are generally more successful at what most politicians call a truly unpleasant task.